In this week's Parsha, Parshas Bolok, we read about a character who seems to be a really strange fellow. Bilam, the non-Jewish prophet, was commissioned by Bolok, the king of Moab, to come and curse and ultimately to destroy the Jewish nation, which he was extremely unsuccessful at. But at the beginning, he presents almost like a bit of a lunatic. He acknowledges that he's in the hands of God. He acknowledges that he cannot really do anything that God doesn't want him to do. The events unfold to be very clear to him, emphasizing that God does not want him to go. He tells him so openly, but Bilam persists. He lets him go and then puts an angel with a sword in his way 3 times, to the point that Bilam becomes extremely enraged with his donkey. One thing after another just points to him and seems to emphasize and make it very clear that God does not want this to happen, and yet Bilam keeps going. It's almost like he's volunteering for disaster. He's volunteering for self-destruction. What kind of crazy person does something like that? In truth, however, perhaps in a more subtle way, hopefully, but we're all a bit like that. We all do things, we all have emotional responses, we sometimes get angry, we sometimes do things out of jealousy or hate, knowing at the back of our mind that it's wrong, knowing at the back of our mind that it's bad for us, and yet we keep pushing, we keep persisting, we keep trying to achieve what we know is not good or impossible. And the reason for that is obvious, because a lot of those responses, as it did in Bilam's case, come from emotion. Bilam was filled with hate for the Jewish nation. He wanted to fulfill the request of his colleague Bolok to come and destroy the Jewish people. We sometimes have emotional responses to people that insult us, or people that push our buttons, or events that happen that frustrate us or irritate us. And emotions work very quickly. In fact, the heart works a lot quicker than the head. And therefore we jump into it and we respond, and our heart is so quick that our head does not have a chance to overrule the heart and to say, hold on a second, this is not a good choice. Make a decision and think about it. And the only way to deal with that kind of thing, not to be like Bilam in any way, is not to get our emotional ego in the way, but rather to learn to pause, learn to think, learn to recognize what is coming from our egocentricity and self-centeredness. Learn to think about something before we react, so that we can consciously and properly let the head take over, let the intellect take over, and be able to objectively and maturely make proper and moral and responsible choices and decisions. If we pause and we reflect and we examine ourselves properly, we will not be like Bilam, and will try and make the proper choices. Have a good day and a Shabbat Shalom.